Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Exploring Census Data webinar series. To those that have been following our series over the years, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. So my name is Linda Lee, and today we will be taking a look at the latest innovation at the Census Bureau, the Annual Integrated Economic Survey, or you may hear us refer to it by its acronym, the AIES. So let's go ahead and hop right into the presentation. First, let's take a look at the Exploring Census Data webinar series. It is a set of monthly webinars presented by topics where we include real-life use cases when possible. The webinars are presented by subject matter experts and include a Q&A feature. You can submit your questions during the presentation and also at the end during the Q&A segment. To learn more about the series, please use the first link. And to view our past webinars, please use the second link to visit the Census Academy site. On today's agenda, I'll briefly provide a high-level overview about the Census Bureau. Then I'll turn it over to our speakers to present information about the AIES. And at the end, we'll close out with a Q&A segment. So today we are joined by several subject matter experts from the program area. They will be presenting information and answering your questions about the survey. Our first presenter is Kristen Messner. Kristen is a survey statistician and a methodologist with over 16 years of experience in both the demographic and economic sides of the house. Our next presenter is Jordan Lloyd. Jordan is also a survey statistician with experience conducting and analyzing economic surveys such as the economic census and the AIES. And throughout the presentation, you'll hear Kristen and Jordan volley the slides back and forth. Also in the room with us today is Tristan St. Ange. Tristan is a senior survey manager, and he will be assisting with responding to questions during and after the presentations. Also, please note that we are utilizing technology from multiple locations, and we aim to provide you with the best experience possible. Should we experience any technical delays, please utilize the chat feature to inform us of issues, and we will mitigate them as soon as possible. About the Census Bureau. The Census Bureau is the federal government's largest statistical agency where we conduct over 130 surveys each year. Listed here are some of our well-known surveys. First is the decennial census. This is a once-a-decade population and housing count of the U.S. Next is the American Community Survey. This is the annual survey of the nation's population. Now, on the business data side of the house, we have the economic census. This is the official measure of American businesses. It is conducted every 5 years during the years ending in 2 and 7. It is the most comprehensive source for business data, and it is also used for benchmarking our other business surveys and programs. Now, the economic census also has a public sector counterpart called the Census of Governments. And similarly, it is measured every 5 years in the years ending in 2 and 7. This slide lists examples of a few of our widely used monthly, quarterly, and annual economic surveys and programs. Monthly surveys are a part of the economic indicators that are included in reporting the GDP. And the annual surveys include nearly every sector of the economy. Now, when it comes to our data, a pyramid is a nice representation of the relationship between timeliness and details. At the top of the pyramid are high-frequency programs where data are released on a bi-weekly basis with less details in comparison to the programs on the lower level of the pyramid. Now, sliding down to a level to our monthly and quarterly surveys, these surveys are timely. And as mentioned on the previous slide, they are included in the nation's key economic indicators, and they are used for tracking and reporting the GDP. Now, moving down another level are the annual surveys. The AIES falls into this category. So the annual surveys provide yearly data for nearly every sector of the economy, and data from these programs are useful for analyzing trends. Then below that, we have the economic census that takes place every 5 years. And this is our most comprehensive data source for business data. And finally, at the base of the pyramid are administrative data that serves as the foundation of our statistics. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to our first presenter, Kristen. All yours, Kristen.
Thank you, Linda, for that introduction. Now let's pivot and explore in depth what the Annual Integrated Economic Survey, or AIES, is. The AIES is a newly designed survey developed by the U.S. Census Bureau. It replaces and integrates 7 separate annual business surveys into one unified survey. By bringing these surveys together, the AIES provides the most comprehensive national and subnational data available on business revenues, expenses, and assets on an annual basis. This integrated approach helps improve the overall quality of data while also reducing the reporting burden for businesses. Instead of responding to multiple surveys, businesses can now provide their information through a single streamlined survey. In addition, the AIES allows the Census Bureau to operate more efficiently by consolidating data collection integrated into the AIES include the following: the Annual Capital Expenditure Survey, the Annual Retail Trade Survey, the Annual Survey of Manufacturers, the Annual Wholesale Trade Survey, the Manufacturers Unfilled Orders Survey, the Report of Organization, and the Service Annual Survey. By combining these 7 surveys into a single integrated program, the AIES strengthens the Census Bureau's ability to provide reliable, comprehensive economic data that helps inform policymakers, businesses, and researchers. The survey is generally sent to a few 100,000 businesses based on survey needs. Participation is mandatory, and responses are protected under strict confidentiality rules to ensure data privacy. To provide a little bit of background, the AIES was largely formulated as a result of a study by the National Academy of Sciences in 2018 that examined the Census Bureau's collection of annual economic surveys. This review was requested in particular because our surveys have been suffering from declining response rates. We were dealing with declining budgets, and we needed to improve in meeting data user needs, becoming more efficient, and reducing the burden placed on respondents. As I touched on briefly, there are several benefits of the AIES. The AIES's modernized collection instrument reduces respondent burden. Previously, companies could be selected for multiple separate surveys. With the AIES, those surveys are integrated into one, meaning many businesses can now submit their information through a single survey instead of several. This can reduce the time and effort required to report. The AIES also promotes high data quality through its integrated survey design, pre-filled and validated data, centralized electronic reporting system, and the use of administrative and historical data. With the AIES, the Census Bureau can now produce economic data at deeper geographic levels than ever before. This includes divisional, regional, and state level estimates, giving users a clearer picture of how business activity varies across different parts of the country. The other benefits of the AIES include timely data releases and a uniform publication schedule. There is certainly value of data being in one place and at one time instead of being months apart and in different places. Lastly, another significant advantage of the AIES is enhanced operational efficiencies through its standardized data collection. Let's take a look at the AIES mail-out and data release schedule. The 2023 AIES was mailed out to respondents in March of 2024. In July of 2025, the Census Bureau published its first look of the preliminary data from the survey. Last month, in February of 2026, we published the main data release. And this spring of 2026, we will publish the experimental data for the 2023 AIES. As for the 2024 AIES, that was mailed out to respondents in March of 2025. And the field period for data collection ended in fall of 2025. We anticipate data releases for the 2024 AIES to be in summer or fall of 2026. And the 2025 AIES will be mailed out to respondents later this month in March of 2026. Let's take a look at the available AIES data. As you can see, our full release includes updated summary statistics as well as many other statistics, and this isn't even all of them, with many produced down to the 6 and select 7-digit NAICS codes. Finally, we're planning on publishing a few tables by the end of the year as experimental data products. These are estimates we believe greatly benefit data users, but may not meet all of the quality standards that our other estimates are subject to. And ultimately, we hope to transition some of these experimental data tables to regular data products in the future. And now I'm going to turn over the presentation to my colleague, Jordan Lloyd.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan, and I will be going into detail about the type of data you can expect in our AIES data tables. So before we get into the numbers, I just wanted to talk a bit about where the data comes from. So we collect data from non-farm businesses in the U.S. that have paid employees and were operating at some point during the survey year. In short, these are employer businesses located across the 50 states and D.C. The survey collects information from businesses across 19 different sectors of the economy. These sectors are defined using the North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS. NAICS subsector 336, the transportation equipment manufacturing, will be used as our example throughout the rest of the webinar to highlight exactly how detailed AIS data can get. This NAICS subsector includes businesses that primarily manufacture transportation equipment, including things like motor vehicles and their parts, boats and ships, aerospace products, and even tanks. As mentioned by Kristen earlier, the AIES includes data at the national, regional, and divisional levels, and for some sectors, there are even state-level estimates available, providing economic data such as business revenue, expenses, payroll, and employment. What makes this especially useful is that the data is available at detailed geographic levels. In the past, for many sectors, this type of information was only available at the national level. So for this subsector, the total national revenue is estimated at about 1.2 trillion with a 0.2 coefficient of variation shown in the parentheses. Altogether, this highlights the scale of economic activity captured in this survey. Now let's look at that same NAICS subsector at the regional level. The census uses a 4-region model: Northeast, Midwest, South, and West. Our team conducted significance testing on the data, and we can show you how the regions rank in terms of revenue from largest to smallest. You can see that the South region has the largest estimated revenue at $466.4 billion, while the Northeast has the smallest at $68.3 billion. This example really shows how the AIES data can drill down beyond the national level to provide detailed insights across the region. Here's another example using the same NAICS subsector, this time highlighting the West region. For transportation equipment manufacturing, revenue in the West is about $184.8 billion. Payroll total is about $27.6 billion. First quarter payroll about $7.6 billion, and the estimated number of employees is 281,732. This is just a small example of the type of data the AIES collects. The survey publishes a wide range of information, including e-commerce activity, operating expenses like payroll, benefits, rent, utilities, materials and supplies, and many other detailed operating expenses. Assets are collected like capital expenditures, inventories, and depreciable assets. And there's much more various trade or industry-specific content. Here's another example, this time showing even more detail at the divisional level. The census divides the country into 9 different divisions. Looking at the data, we can see the total estimated annual payroll for the Pacific Division is about $21 billion for that same NAICS subsector. The Pacific Division includes 5 states, which helps shows how the AIES data can break down this economic activity, not just by region, but all the way to smaller divisions in individual states. Here's our last example, drilling down even further within the Pacific Division. This time we're highlighting the state of California. In the transportation equipment manufacturing subsector, the estimated revenue for California is about $88.6 billion. State-level details for the manufacturing sector are available in the main publication. For the retail, wholesale, and service sectors, state-level estimates are released as an experimental data product. Between all of our published tables, the Census Bureau is giving users a clear picture of economic activity across the country, and by gathering data from such diverse groups of businesses, the AIES is able to provide valuable insights into the business activity, employment, and overall economic performance across the United States. So that wraps up our examples of data found in our AIES data tables. Now I'm going to pass back to Kristen so she can talk about other AIES data products.
Thank you, Jordan. In regard to the AIES data products, the Census Bureau is still very committed to making our data relatable and accessible to the general public and those with less knowledge of the statistics that we produce. So in addition to the methods described in the previous slide, data users can also expect to see much of the data presented in ways similar to these infographics shown here that were published in our full release. The infographic examples on this slide include an economic snapshot by industry and geography, as well as regional statistics. AIS data products on this screen include data visualizations. The specific data visualizations on this screen illustrate revenue by select sectors in the United States. The Census Bureau also publishes America Count stories on our website to show how our numbers are reflected in the real world. And we're looking forward to presenting our AIS data through American Count stories. Additional AIS data products include social media posts, webinars, and other interactive forms as well. And now I'm going to pass the baton back to Jordan so that she can talk about accessing AIS data.
Thanks, Kristen. So another exciting feature of the AIES is the variety of ways you can access our economic data. Before AIES, many of our annual surveys publish estimates in a single location or format, and those formats often differed from survey to survey. Now users can access the data in whichever way is the most convenient for them. And now, instead of coming out at different times during the year, data for all trades are released together on one unified schedule. You can use data.census.gov to download Excel, CBS, or zip spreadsheets from our website, access tables in FTP format, or even use the Census Bureau API or application programming interface. Power users can use the API to pull all of the AIS data or just select subsets of the data. Not currently available, but coming soon, we're also excited to share that some tables will be available through the FRED website, which is an acronym for Federal Reserve Economic Data, which is maintained by the Federal Reserve. So no matter your preference, the AIS website, census.gov/AIS, will have links to all of these sources. On this slide, you can see a screenshot of the AIS data on data.census.gov. This gives you an example of what the data looks like when you access it directly through the platform. You can explore tables, filter by industry, geography, or variable, and download the information in the format that works best for you. We've talked a lot about the data throughout this presentation, so we thought it would be helpful to actually show you how to access AIES data yourself. To make this easy to follow, we pre-recorded a short walkthrough of our official platform for data retrieval, and I'll talk you through the steps as the video plays and show you exactly how to find some of the data we highlighted earlier in the slides. All right, let's get started. You can see we're on the U.S. Census Bureau's official data platform, data.census.gov, where you can explore, filter, and download official census data. To access the annual Integrated Economic Survey, start at the top left corner and click on Tables. Once you click Tables, select Filter, scroll down until you see Economic Surveys and click on that. Next, you'll search for and select Annual Integrated Economic Survey. Now you'll see a list of the different types of data available under the survey. Earlier in the presentation, we showed revenue and payroll data, so I'll walk you through how to find that. You'll click on Summary Statistics, making sure it's highlighted, and on the right-hand side, you'll see the data begin to populate automatically. But we want to narrow this down further. Scroll down to the section labeled Industry Codes NAICS, click there. In our early example, we focused on manufacturing. So you'll select manufacturing. Specifically, the example we used earlier was NAICS 336. So make sure that's selected. Now in the middle of the screen, you'll see a black arrow button. Click that arrow to display the full table on the right. At this point, the summary statistics for NAICS 336 will populate. By default, it shows United States level data along with regional and divisional breakdowns. On the right, you'll see columns for revenue, payroll, first quarter payroll, and the number of employees. And if you would like to get even more specific, you can go up slightly and click on the Geos tab. This opens up another filter menu, and under summary levels, you can choose to drill down to the state level. In our example, we selected California, and once you click California, the table updates to show revenue and related statistics specifically for the state. You'll notice there are many additional options available. You can select different states, focus on a specific region or division, compare multiple geographies, and continue refining your filters for more detailed insights. And that's a basic overview of how to access and explore summary statistics using the annual Integrated Economic Survey on data.census.gov. And hopefully this gives you a clear picture of how easy it is to navigate the platform and retrieve the data you need. The full AIS dataset release offers a new way to better understand the U.S. economy with easier access and richer detail to help everyone find and use the data they need. We encourage you to explore the data, try the tools, and share your feedback. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Jordan. So thank you everyone for your interest and time in attending today's webinar. Thank you, Kristen and Jordan, for presenting our audience with great information and resources about the AIES. Now, today we have featured a fraction of the data that you can get for free at the Census Bureau. To learn more about statistics and data tools, please visit the Census Academy for the recording of this webinar, other webinars, and additional resources as well. I would also like to extend an invitation to come join us next month on April 23rd at 2 p.m. for a webinar called Building a Data-Driven Business Plan, where you'll learn about how to identify key data and develop a plan to make informed decisions. Please take note of the contact information on this slide for anyone that may be interested in a hands-on in-person training. We have data dissemination specialists that are available to provide this service to you. Also, if you have questions or need more information after this webinar, please feel free to email us at census.askdata@census.gov. And to ask your question now, please submit your question using the Q&A feature, and my colleague Angela will read the questions aloud for Kristen, Jordan, and Tristan to respond.
Okay, first question we have is, how is it decided to what level of NAICS is available? I've seen 6-digit and national level. Do all states have 3 digits?
Hey everyone, it's Tristan St. Ange and I work on the AIS. And to answer your question, a lot of the NAICS levels that we publish are dictated by the needs of our data users. In addition to that, NAICS levels are kind of dependent on the quality of data that's provided to us. So, we'd love to offer, very detailed NAICS estimates to you all, but sometimes based off of either response rates or other factors, we're kind of limited in terms of the amount of detail we can get to.
Okay, next question we have. RE estimated revenue total. How do I bring it down to estimated per establishments so I can compare across geographies or industries?
So good question. On our, on the demo that Jordan showed us, or in SEDSI, you can see that each NAICS level that we publish on, they're based off of different groupings. So for instance, many estimates are at the all establishments level. So this is the sum of all the establishments that were in the sample. Additionally, you can see breakouts of tax-exempt establishments, taxable only establishments. But in terms of estimates at the establishment level, we do not go down that detailed.
Okay, is the data available at the census tract and or the block group level?
We would love to provide census tract and block group level data. Unfortunately, the AIS only publishes state level information. I will say that we have both the economic census as well as the county business patterns surveys that do produce economic data below the state level. And so I'd encourage anyone interested to check out those resources.
Okay, does the FTP or API have unique data not in data.census.gov?
The short answer is no. There's nothing in the FTP or the API that's unique. Anything you see on data.census.gov is going to be found in the API as well as the FTP tables.
Is the NES data from administration records?
Easy answer there is yes. These estimates are based off of administrative records, correct?
Are data at the 4 to 6 digit NAICS level available with geographic detail?
Yeah, so to answer that question, we produce state level data down to the 3 and 4 digit NAICS level. At the US level, the nation level, we go down to the 6 digit for, I want to say, the majority of our published data tables.
Okay, can the tool plot results from more than one survey in the same table? And the example they gave was they want retail sales from a 2023 survey and the previous survey as well in the same table.
Now, the answer to that is no. We don't provide that currently. I will say, I'll give a plug for a future data product of ours coming later this year. Is a lot of our tables are going to be available through Fred. I bet some people listening in are familiar with that website, but it allows a lot of kind of comparison of different time series surveys. And so that's something to look out for, like I said, later this year.
Okay, these questions keep rolling in. Next one is, there's an interest in business data at the city or place level. Are there any surveys or data sources that are recommended for this?
Yes, I would absolutely recommend the county business patterns, like I mentioned before, and the economic census. The economic census was last conducted in 2022, and the county business patterns is updated annually.
Somebody asked, why is the Southeast so large? Why not split that region?
So, you know what? That's a decision made by the demographics side of the Census Bureau. That just happens to be the definition of that region. And so, yeah, that's something to be mindful of, is the regions are not divided evenly when it comes to population or economic activity.
Okay, what are some ways to estimate values for 2024 and 2025? Is there a standard method for this?
That depends a lot on the specific estimate that you're interested in. But I will say that go on to our website as a plug for census.gov/AIES. You can see the full methodology of our 2023 release, and I have a feeling some answers to your questions are going to be found there.
What was the level of involvement that national industry trade associations assisted in the collection of this data from their member companies or from their respective industries or sectors?
I'll say that's difficult to answer. I will say that in general, we reach out to a lot of trade associations throughout the country for their kind of feedback and comment on our plans to survey the country. There's a lot of opportunities for public comment when it comes to kind of filing of our kind of federal notices as part of the process with the Office of Management and Budget. So long story short, we do consider the opinions of our national industry trade associations. They know their industries almost better than anybody, so their perspective is really important to us.
Will AIES be published on economic census data years?
To answer your question, yes. The AIES will continue to publish estimates for 2027, which is the next economic census. We're trying to kind of leverage each program with the other one. And as a result, you might see, AIS data, you will see, I should say, AIS data consistent with what's been published in prior years.
Do we know when the capital expenditure data will be released?
Should be about April 30th. That's going to be a tentative response there, but end of April 2026.
Does the data provide NAICS data by number of employee classification?
I guess the answer to that question is yes. For each kind of NAICS down to the 6th digit that we publish, we have an estimate for the number of employees per industry. I'm hoping I'm answering that question correctly, or I should say, I'm hoping I'm interpreting that question correctly. So the answer would be yes. We consider that, I should say, like a core variable of ours. So that is found at both the US and state levels.
Okay, is the data that used to be contained in the service annual survey no longer available at the county level in AIES?
So the service annual survey only produced national level estimates. So the answer to that question is no. We only produce state level data on the AIS. In fact, this is, as Jordan and Kristen mentioned before, this is one of the huge benefits of the AIS, that we're now seeing state level estimates on an annual basis, when prior to the AIS, a lot of times annual estimates were only available at the US level.
Will future years also feature staggered releases, like first look, main release, experimental, etc.?
We're going to be evaluating that as we go. I will say for 2024 release, we do not expect a first look publication, hoping to, publish the full, I should say, data set in a shorter time frame compared to 2023.
Is there a gap in the 2022 ASM survey? It seems that there was a jump right to 2023 on AIES. Is that correct?
No, there shouldn't be any gap between legacy 2022 ASM survey and the 2023 AIES. At least that information should be available.
Does AIES provide enterprise size like county business patterns did, or the economic census?
Unfortunately, no, that's not available on the AIS.
Will we see the annual AIES data in the summer of the following year?
We're planning on releasing the 2024 data in late summer of 2026. For 2025, our plans are to publish data within the same calendar year of us conducting the survey. Hope that answers that question. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that answer. So for the 2025 AIS, the hope is to publish that information in spring of 2027. And then going forward, starting with the 2026 AIS, to publish within the same calendar year that the data was collected in. Hope that clarifies things.
As of right now, I'm showing no further questions.
Thank you, everyone, for sending in your questions. And thank you, Tristan, for responding. And I would like to thank you, everyone, again for attending today's webinar. And this concludes today's webinar. Have a wonderful day.